Hey guys, John V here from PhoneArena. You're watching our in-depth video comparison between the HTC Vivid and the Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. Both devices are available right now. $249.99 for the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket, $199.99 for the Vivid. They both offer 4G LTE connectivity with AT&T. So which one's going to be the right one for you if you're in an area that has coverage? Honestly, there's not one handset that we prefer over the other in terms of design, just because they use some of the design characteristics of previous devices. They're both relatively the same size and overall footprint, but the HTC Vivid just has a little bit better design, we'd say, with the beveled plastic, which is reinforced with the stainless steel back cover. It definitely has a better industrial design overall, versus the plastic construction of the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. It does keep it lightweight and streamlined, but it doesn't quite feel as solidly built compared to the Vivid. Even though the HTC Vivid has the higher resolution display, which then in turn provides higher pixel density, to tell you the truth, our eyes don't notice too much of a difference in terms of quality between the two or detail, just because if you're looking at it from a foot away, for things like fine text right now, your eyes are not going to notice too much of a difference. So the WVGA resolution on the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket is more than sufficient, but the thing that we like about it is that it sports the Super AMOLED Plus display versus the Super LCD display in the HTC Vivid. With that, it produces the punchier looking colors. It has a higher contrast appearance. On top of that, a wider viewing angle, so it maintains its vibrancy whichever way you look at it. And overall, it's definitely by far the more appealing and easier one to view in outdoor conditions. Above the displays, we find our front-facing cameras. With the HTC Vivid, it's a 1.3 megapixel one, and the Skyrocket offers a 2 megapixel one. Mainly because the capacitive buttons on the Skyrocket are placed close to the bottom edge, we find ourselves accidentally pressing them more than the HTC Vivid. When it comes to dedicated physical buttons, we definitely prefer the ones on the Skyrocket, just because the power button and also volume rocker are a lot more pronounced versus the flat feel of the HTC Vivid. Luckily, with the micro USB ports on both handsets, they offer video out functionality, but you have to purchase an optional MHL adapter. And finally, both devices feature 8 megapixel autofocus cameras. In the rear, you have a dual LED flash on the Vivid versus the single one on the Skyrocket. What makes the Vivid a little bit more appealing is that it offers backside illumination and a wide-angle f2.2 lens. Under the hood, both handsets feature the 3rd generation Qualcomm Snapdragon processor with 1GB RAM, but what separates the two is the clock speed of those processors. With the Skyrocket, it's actually a dual-core 1.5 GHz one, as opposed to the dual-core 1.2 GHz inside of the HTC Vivid. With the benchmark test that we ran, the scores are better, slightly better, with the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket, but you can tell here with the live wallpaper activated, you can also see that the touch response goes to the Skyrocket, but for just a little bit. But then again, Sense just seems to be a little bit more graphically intensive than the TouchWiz user interface. For other basic tasks such as kinetic scrolling, you could tell it's still more fluid looking with the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. And even when you're doing things like pinch gestures with the gallery application, they're both going to be the same, but either way, we just feel that the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket is just a slightly faster device between the two. Even though both smartphones are running Android 2.3 Gingerbread, we definitely prefer the Sense interface on the HTC Vivid versus the TouchWiz one on the Skyrocket, just because with the Sense interface, it just feels like it's a lot more refined, deeper personalization too. You have a lot of customization with the scenes, the lock screen, the wallpapers, and also the widgets are vastly superior to what's available on the TouchWiz user interface. When it comes to the messaging experience, it's ultimately going to come down to which one is your preferred method. With the HTC Vivid, you only have the Sense keyboard, which is one of the better layouts out there just because you have access to a lot of different punctuations and numbers directly from the main layout. With the Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket, you have 3 options for you. Any one of them are great, and both exhibit a really nice responsive feel, sizable layouts, and all in all, they're great devices for typing up messages. Honestly, we don't have too much of a preference between the music players on both devices just because they display the same type of items, like the album cover, the controls, and on-screen information. As far as the audio quality, they're both going to be the same, but the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket has a tiny bit louder volume output, and both exhibit clear and natural tones. Well, there's no kidding that both devices can run high-definition videos with no problem at all. You can tell here the video we have running on both devices are encoded in DivX 1920 by 1080 resolution, so 1080p, so they both exhibit the same qualities, good details, fast frame rate movement, there's no slowdown or choppiness, but we have to hand it to the Super AMOLED Plus display, the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. It definitely is the more appealing display to look at between the two. Both smartphones are blessed with 8-megapixel autofocus cameras, but in terms of quality, we have to give it to the HTC Vivid just because of its wide-angle f2.2 lens and backside illumination. It just offers better-looking shots, but to tell you the truth, both are really good, but the Vivid just a little bit better. On the left of the Vivid samples, on the right, you have the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. Outdoor conditions and good lighting, of course, both look nice, but the HTC Vivid captures more detail, sharper looking, although it does have this slightly purplish hue to its color reproduction. It's not that bad. It still produces some vibrant color tones. In low lighting situations, by far the HTC Vivid excels just because there's a lot of noise and graininess with the shots taken by the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. If we had to choose, we'd probably take the Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket over the Vivid in terms of 1080p video capture just because its quality is a little bit more manageable. They both move at the frame rate of 30 frames per second, so very smooth, but with the HTC Vivid's 3GP format, it suffers from a lot of artifacting, loss of detail, and its audio recording is definitely noisy, which tends to make it very distorted sounding. Meanwhile, the Skyrocket, it doesn't do that great in low lighting conditions. Definitely grainy and noisy, but in sunny conditions, very nice looking, crisp, and between the two, we just have to hand it a little bit to the Skyrocket. So both devices have 4G LTE connectivity via AT&T's network, but right now we're using it on just HSPA Plus because we don't have 4G LTE coverage in our area here. And to tell you the truth, the speeds are the same on both. Both download and upload speeds are really good and fast. As far as the overall web browsing experience, we have to hand it to the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket just because with its navigational controls, it seems a lot more smooth and responsive. A little bit of choppiness with the Vivid, not bad at all. They both handle Flash content very well. But in the end, it's definitely the Skyrocket. Neither handsets impressed us in the calling quality department. That's just because with their earpieces, rather weak with their tones, not the strongest out there. And on top of that, we had to fight with some hollow sounding voices for both devices. Naturally, we're curious to see how battery life fares on both devices when they're on a 4G LTE network on AT&T, but seeing that we don't have coverage in the area, we mainly use them with HSPA Plus connectivity. And in our experience, it just seems like the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket is a little bit better in the battery life department. In fact, we managed to get 14 hours of normal usage as opposed to the 10 hours on the Vivid. So the ultimate question is which device to side with. With the HTC Vivid, we definitely like that it's $200 on contract. By far the more affordable device between the two. It also has the better looking design. We'd like the Sense experience on there. And on top of that, it takes the better photos here. But battery life's not that great. And the display is not as sharp looking. Whereas with the Galaxy S2 Skyrocket, it's $250 on contract, so $50 more. But what you get is a sleeker handset, more lightweight, the gorgeous looking Super AMOLED Plus display, and of course its platform performance is a little bit more fluid with its operation than what's offered on the Vivid. It takes the better videos, and of course battery life is a little bit better, so you have to really play your cards right and see which one you like. But as far as just overall appeal, we definitely have to hand it to Samsung Galaxy S2 Skyrocket. It just seems to offer a little bit more complete package between the two. So if you'd like to learn more about both devices, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. This is John V signing off. Thanks for watching, guys.